He had all the money in the world but couldn't buy back his peace until one shocking moment on a rain-slicked sidewalk. A piece of his shattered past dangled from a stranger's neck. If this hooked your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping twists and unforgettable stories. The city had grown darker since the day Thomas Wexler's daughter vanished without a trace 5 years ago, on her 12th birthday, while playing in the lush backyard of their heavily guarded mansion. In one blink, she was gone, and nothing not. The police, not the press, not the pies he paid millions to, nor the tear-stained pleas to the public had brought back a single solid lead. Only wild theories, ransom hoaxes, and regret. And so the billionaire shut himself off from the world, trading boardrooms and beach houses for whiskey and CCTV footage he watched on repeat. Until one ordinary Tuesday, on his reluctant way to a charity gala his PR team begged him to attend, his limo rolled to a sudden stop in a rough South End neighborhood due to a street protest, and through the tinted window he saw a boy barefoot, scrawny, no older than 10, darting between traffic with a makeshift sign reading, "I can fix phones $5. But what struck Thomas wasn't the sign, or the desperation in the child's eyes. It was the glint of a delicate silver chain that swung from the boy's neck, catching the sunlight for a split second, revealing a butterfly charm with one chipped wing, the exact necklace he had custom-made for his daughter on her last birthday. The one she wore that day, the one never recovered, the one he'd buried in his memory along with her voice. And without thinking, Thomas sprang from the car, shouting, chasing the boy, causing a scene as people stared, some recording, some yelling. But the boy saw the suited man charging and bolted into an alley, slipping behind dumpsters and fire escapes until Thomas cornered him near a locked gate, and gasped, not from exertion, but from the sheer face of the boy, dark-skinned, wild-eyed, but with her eyes that same exact almond shape and blue hue that made no sense on this child unless... But no, that was impossible, so he caught his breath and demanded, "Where did you get that necklace?" And the boy backed away, clutching the charm, refusing to answer, until Thomas lowered his voice and promised, "I'm not here to hurt you, please. Just tell me where it came from." And after a tense silence, the boy whispered, "It was my sister's," sending chills through Thomas's spine, because his daughter had no known siblings, yet something about the boy's tone, the weight in his voice, felt too honest, too raw to be a lie. So Thomas asked for a name, his or his sister's, but the boy only said, "She called me Blue. That's all I know." And then, in a moment of instinct, Thomas pulled out his phone and dialed the private number of his personal investigator, relaying the encounter, ordering immediate background checks, DNA tests, surveillance footage scours, whatever it took, because suddenly a door had opened, one he didn't know existed, and within 48 hours the boy was in protective custody, fed and clothed, undergoing cheek swabs and interviews, and Thomas sat across from him, hour after hour, hearing bits and pieces. A woman named Carla who took them in, a safe house that moved every few months, a memory of being on a boat. At night, his sister crying, hands tied, the taste of salt, the sound of a lullaby sung off-key, Thomas's lullaby, the one he used to hum to his daughter at bedtime, now echoing from the lips of a boy who'd been hidden his whole life. And the DNA came back 87% sibling match, which meant his daughter had a half-brother, and she might still be alive, somewhere out there, taken by whoever stole her, raised underground in a world Thomas couldn't fathom. But why would she have a brother no one knew about? That's when the past came roaring back. A summer intern at his company 16 years ago, Maria Elkins, beautiful, brilliant, who he had a brief affair with and paid off to keep silent when she got pregnant because it wasn't the right time, and he had just married his now ex-wife, and Maria vanished soon after he had buried the memory in guilt, never imagining she had kept the child, never imagining that child would be the key to finding his missing girl. And so he doubled his resources, tripled the reward, And finally a breakthrough came, a grainy CCTV clip from a doc 3 months prior, showing a girl matching his daughter's age and description, boarding a fishing trawler with a scarred man identified as Joseph Cray, an ex-Marine turned mercenary turned child trafficker. Long believed dead but clearly still active in the shadows. And now the stakes were fire-hot, and Thomas, driven by fury and hope, used every contact in his black book, assembling a covert task force of ex-agents, bribing corrupt port authorities, until a week later they raided a warehouse near the Chesapeake Bay and found 3 girls, one of them taller now. Leaner, older, but undeniably his huddled in the dark. And when she saw him, she didn't scream or cry but stared with cold disbelief until Blue, standing beside Thomas, whispered her name, Rosie, and her eyes melted and she collapsed into her brother's arms, and Thomas, so broken for so long, fell to his knees in the grime, sobbing, holding his children. The two halves of a life stolen by secrets and selfishness, and smuggling rings that traded human souls like currency. But the story didn't end there, because when questioned, Rosie revealed she had been taken for a reason not random, but targeted, because someone inside Thomas's empire had sold her location. Someone with access to his private life. And when investigation swept through his executive ranks, the shocking truth emerged. It was his ex-wife's brother, CFO Martin Langdon, who'd orchestrated the abduction to leverage Thomas into selling a piece of his tech company that later exploded in value, netting Langdon hundreds of millions. And though he was now arrested, the betrayal cut deeper than any wound. And Thomas realized that in his climb to fortune, he'd lost sight of trust, of family, of what mattered. But now as he stood before the press with Rosie in Blue, announcing a new foundation to combat trafficking, pledging to fund shelters and schools, he also made a personal vow to never let greed silence his conscience again, to rebuild not just his fortune but his fatherhood, and to love loudly and without fear. Because sometimes what's lost can be found, not by looking harder, but by opening your heart to the impossible. The very thing he thought he had no more of. Hope. If this story shook your soul, hit that subscribe button for more powerful tales that twist reality and awaken your heart. Asterisk.